Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Bojaranov. You can find me on Twitter at Russian98, and I am with...
I'm Connor Roundtree. You can find me on Twitter at TheSportTree.
And you can find both of us at Jablam Hockey, and of course on our website, jablamhockey.com. All right, what do we have this episode? First off, we're going to be team isoing the Montreal Canadiens with special guest Ian Boisvert from rabbithabs.com. We're going to be doing a hot seat, so basically players, coaches, management, people we think that are maybe on the way out. And of course, a bit of fantasy up and down. Connor's going to give you that. I'm going to talk about a little bit of my favorite, not so favorite national hockey jerseys. And that's that. But first, trending now.
Yeah, trending now. It's been a tough week for everyone in Toronto and the family of Roy Halladay. The passing of the Doc, the legendary Blue Jays ace. Probably, actually, without a doubt, the reason why I'm a Jays fan. I remember growing up as a 90s kid. He was the Jay. He's the guy that got me into baseball. So rest in peace, Doc.
Yeah. We were already talking, and I'm getting it again. My goosebumps are coming back. I'm going to put on jablamhockey.com on our game notes. Ken Rosenthal had a great piece, and of course he wrote it later, and I ended up reading it at like 2 a.m., and I almost started crying then. He was my favorite Blue Jay. It's the only baseball jersey I own. I'm wearing Halladay right now, and I love that guy. I still remember to this day, me and my dad talk about it. We were on our way up north to Wasaga Beach. Of course, a lot of people go there during the summers in Toronto. And we turned into the Blue Jays game, and we listened to the whole game. And this kid, Roy Halladay, was pitching his first game in the Blue Jays. And it was a great game. He played pretty good, and we were just excited about this young kid. And from day one, he had an absolutely great career. And he was a great person as well. And it's sad to hear of his passing.
Yeah, my most fond Doc memory was right after that A.J. Burnett contract year. He goes and signs with the Yankees. His first game back at the Rogers Center, Doc versus Burnett. And Doc went a full game, allowing just 3 hits. And that was... I don't think I've ever seen emotion on Halladay's face other than the cheer he gave that game. And that was... I'll never forget that. So thank you, Doc.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about some idiots in Boston. We know from the station, I believe it's 98.5. They basically
Classless.
They were calling him out and saying he was careless, and then he's
a jackass,
a moron. Basically, saying that he was careless with his life by doing something that he was very passionate about.
Yeah, well, his dad was an airline pilot. He grew up wanting to fly, and in his contract, while he was in the MLB, he said he could not get his pilot license. He retires. He did his time in the MLB, played phenomenally. We all know his stats. We all know what he did. And he goes out and he wants to do what he wants to do. I'd say that's living life, not being an idiot or wasting it whatsoever. Obviously, that type of plane, it's a bit of a recreational toy. He called it himself on his Twitter. It's like flying a fighter jet. So maybe it was a little too beginner of a plane, but who am I to judge? I'm not a AV. I haven't been around planes my whole life, and he has. So, and I don't know how you call a guy that's passed away when Canada, the United States, 2 nations are mourning him. His family's mourning him. That's classless and has no place on any media platform, in my opinion.
Yeah. I find it odd that 2 idiots on the radio or doing a voice show in, like, say, their basement have an idea to say something about some guy who's actually going out there and enjoying life. So, let's move on. Great news in Toronto right now. They're inducting new inductees to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
7 of them.
7 of them. Mark Recchi, the Wrecking Ball. 3 cups. You know, I was like, we were talking about this beforehand, and I'm like, yeah, Recchi sucks. Why is he even in the hockey? I barely know. Like, you know what? I didn't watch him that much. I know he was good on the Flyers and some of the other teams. Yeah, he even helped Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I remember him on Pittsburgh. That's the main thing, helping groom Crosby into leadership. But what really gets me about Recchi was, he won 3 cups, but he won his first in 91, and then 20 years later. I get having a 20-year career, but winning a cup when you're a kid, sticking with the game all the way through and winning one towards the end of your career, that's something special. I wasn't the biggest fan of him on the ice, but got to tip my cap to Mark Recchi.
Yeah. And then another guy is Paul Kariya, and I hate Paul Kariya.
Well, you know what? I like Paul Kariya. I think he was always an exciting player. I think your biggest knock is for him not scoring in the World Juniors, but on the national level in 31 games for Team Canada, he had 48 points, so I think he made up for it in the long run. Won the gold medal in 2002. I'm not saying he did it himself. But then again, he finished with 989 points in 989 games. So I don't really see how you can hate the guy that much.
We were that close to winning. I'm so passionate. When Christmas comes, as Canadians,
it's World Junior time.
Yeah.
It's not Christmas time. Boxing Day is World Junior Day.
Exactly. And in the States, they love their college sports. In Canada, we love our World Juniors. This is our only other time outside of other sports that we're really passionate about something else. Another sports team, league, anything going on. And it was disappointing, to say the least, when I thought he could have easily had scored on the shootout and whatever.
Well, what do you think about his buddy that just got inducted? Line mate, Timo Solani. What do you think of him?
He is a beauty. I've loved Solani since his rookie season when he scored 76 goals and he threw the glove in the air and he shot it out. And then everybody continues to do that in all the NHL EA Sports games. That gets annoying. I'm like, whatever. But Solani, beauty. He even had 132 points that rookie season, and he had a beautiful career.
76 goals?
76 goals his rookie season. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
That's amazing. And then last but not least, one of my favorite all-time Leafs is Davey Andreychuk, or as I like to call him, Roof Daddy. Because he just stood in front of net, let little Dougie Gilmour or Borshevsky or whoever else was playing on him with the Leafs do all the hard work on the boards. And this guy would just stick like a tree right in front of the net, and as soon as he got the puck, roofed. Top cheddar.
My honestly, the only thing I really remember about Andreychuk growing up was him leading Tampa Bay to that Stanley Cup in 2004. That was one heck of a team that needed some solid leadership, and he provided it with a young Benny Lecavalier and Brad Richards in there, and a young Marty St. Louis. That sounds weird to say now.
Yeah.
Young St. Louis. But joining those players, also getting into the Hockey Hall of Fame, 2002 Olympic gold medalist for Team Canada, Danielle Goyette, Jeremy Jacobs, owner of the Boston Bruins, and NCAA female coach Claire Drake. So congratulations to everybody on making the Hall of Greatness.
All right. We want to talk a little things that are also trending is, I think one fan decided to tweet Kyprios, what would be the price on Mitch, obviously Mitchell Marner, for the oil? And he responded by, of course, thank you for listening to Hockey Central, but good question, and I would believe Darnell Nurse. Twitter explodes in madness.
Yeah, I just don't think that'll ever happen. The Oilers have enough offensive potential right now. Yeah, they could use maybe another guy down the middle or on the wing, both of them, because the Ryan Ekstrom experiment I don't think has worked as well as they'd like. So maybe Marner can slide in there, but there's no way they're going to give up Darnell Nurse when they need defense. I just don't see that happening. I think on paper, 1-for-1, it could be done, but not ever. The way these two teams are set up right now and the depth in the teams, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked at people thinking about moving Darnell Nurse just because of the Oilers.
I'm shocked.
Defense.
I don't see how in Edmonton you would move Darnell Nurse. There's a lot of speculation in Leafs Town that come 2 years from now when you're gonna have to sign Willie, when you're gonna have to sign Austin, you're gonna have to sign Mitch. Mitch may be the guy on the outside looking in out of the three, but that's still a little far down the line to be discussing why would we trade Mitch Marner? Why would the Leafs, trade Mitch Marner?
It's so hilarious that we just flip-flop so easily because wasn't it just like the first week of the season and before that we were all, William Nylander. Is he going to be the one that we can't afford and will want to move out, and maybe he's on a team.
You know that's what Don Cherry wants. Any non-Canadian born player, get him out.
Yeah, but again, I was always a fan of expecting Marner to be a cheaper version of Patrick Kane, and I don't know. I guess it is only his sophomore season. We just started his sophomore season, and you can't expect too much.
He's also been playing on the fourth line for a little bit. He's been up and down in the lineup, and now, again, on a different line since Austin Matthews is injured right now. So he's just been bouncing around. But one thing that I have noticed about Marner was the last two games this past week, so the Monday and Wednesday night games, I was there for both of them, and his play on the power play, he got stripped of the puck on the boards, was able to strip the puck back from the forward, the Minnesota forward. I think it was Chris Stewart. So that's a big body. He's able to pick his pocket, turn it around, and set up a beautiful feed and leave score. So I actually, when he's got time and space on the point, when he plays the point on the power play, he's looked really good. I just think he's got to get that 5-on-5 game back and to mesh with somebody because he doesn't have a firm line mate.
Yeah, I think he really needs a big body. It would have been amazing if the Leafs can find a hulking forward to play with Marner. Like Matt Martin kind of works actually, but if Martin was a bit more of a scorer, like a guy that can actually score,
you mean like those draft picks, like Freddie the Goat and then Tyler Biggs, guys like that, but that actually would have panned out.
Yeah,
well, that would have been nice.
Yeah, maybe something like that. That would have been a good match for Marner.
Well, speaking of big guys that can score up the middle, some big news. Brian Boyle scored his first goal last night, Thursday night. His first goal since being diagnosed with cancer. Shed a tear on the ice. If you haven't seen this video, you got to check it out. He scores the goal. His team embraced him. Sheds a tear on the bench. Very emotional in the interview. Unfortunately, the Devils went out and lost that game. Great goal by McDavid and Draisaitl again in overtime. But congratulations to Brian Boyle. And then another first for Jaromir Jagr. That guy.
I didn't see the goal.
It's pretty. Johnny Hockey breaks in on the wing, a little sauce across. Jaromir looks like doesn't have the angle, but Jaromir always finds the angle and just pots it home right over Peter Mrazek's blocker. Nice goal, and congratulations, Jaromir. That's how many teams? How many goals on how many teams now? It's got to be like 16 teams.
I don't know. You just have to count all the traveling Jagrs, and then you'd probably find out that way.
That's like playing whack-a-mole. Just so many of them.
So we're gonna put a lot of those on our game notes. All right, time for this week's Team ISO. Of course, this is when we specifically isolate on one team in the NHL and get a better expert than us to talk about it. And this week's guest is Ian Boisvert of rabidhabs.com. And of course, we will tweet that and put it on jablamhockey.com, his information. And Ian, what's your Twitter handle again?
Just at Boisvert Ian. Last name, first name.
Perfect. All right, so let's get right into the Habs. Playing pretty well now. 3 of the last 4 in wins. In the last 10, I think they're 6-4.
Yeah, well, for me, Ian, it all starts with Carey Price. Starts of the year, he's been struggling, only 3 wins. He goes down with the knee injury. The Habs were struggling in front of him. And then Charlie Lindgren comes in, and it seems like that's been the best thing for Montreal. And now, from your perspective being inside, is it almost like a situation where a head coach pulls the starting goaltender and the players step up? Or is it actually just Lindgren's play that's made the difference?
I think you have to look at a little bit of both, right? I mean, this team goes as Carey Price goes. That's been how this team has been built since before Marc Bergevin took over. I think Charlie Lindgren at St. Cloud State, he's been playing some incredible hockey. And a few people knew that before he even started playing this season for the Canadiens, he had played a few NHL games with Montreal in the past and hadn't lost yet. Until he lost to Minnesota earlier this week, he was undefeated in his NHL career. A really solid goalie. Positionally, he's not what you'll get with Carey Price, in that Carey Price is sort of a let the puck hit me goalie. Charlie Lindgren will make the big save. You see him fly out of the crease a few times. He's good at moving laterally. I think this kid's going to be a starter in the NHL one day. to go back to Carey Price, I think this injury might be the best thing that could happen for him at this point in the season. To be honest, you can't tell your starting goalie that you just signed to an extension that kicks in next year that he's just not going to play. But he's got a little bit of a nagging injury. They made it clear that it's not what he had suffered in the past. But I think a lot of the Price's struggles this year, maybe the injury played a little bit into it, but I think it's between the ears with the guy. And one example that I found that kind of supports that is in practice the other day. He's been skating. He's coming back, working with the goaltending coach on optional skate days. He's using his old skate boot. It's a larger skate boot that was discontinued. So he was trying to switch to get used to a new one. Now all of a sudden he's not stopping the puck and he's switched back to his old skates. We've seen him do it before with pads. Who knows what will actually fix what ails Carey Price at the moment. But I don't think this team can ride Al Montoya and Charlie Lindgren into the playoffs. Price needs to come back. He needs to be the Vezina candidate we know he can be. Otherwise, that contract next year is going to be a Goliath.
Well, when Carey Price does come back, do you think that he'll go right into the pipes right away? I mean, Charlie Lindgren is currently holding a 135 goals against average and a 961 save percentage. I know as a coach, I'd want to play the hot goalie. I want to play the guy that's getting me wins. But at the same time, how do you put Carey Price on the bench?
It's a really interesting situation they're going to be in when he comes back, and it's a good problem to have. This isn't Halak versus Price like it was a few years ago. Lindgren isn't going to steal this spot from Price, I don't think. I'm always leaving room there for that sort of thing to happen because Montreal is an insane market. But I think when Price comes back, you've got to put him right back in there. You've got to give him another shot to regain his confidence. Hopefully, the defense can play like it has played in front of Lindgren, which has been improved considering the blue line has been the biggest factor for the Canadiens this year and not a positive one. When you've got Jordy Ben playing over 20 minutes a night, the defense in front of your goalie can struggle. But I think, to get back to that, I think when he comes back, you have to put him back in. Because as soon as you bring him back, if he doesn't start, you start the media going, the fans start going. Did Carey Price lose his job again? There's already, Nick Kyprios of Sportsnet is talking about, it's going to be difficult to trade this guy. Who's even talking about trading him? So there's already too much noise around this. If I'm Claude Julien, the second Carey Price is 100% healthy, not, 3/4 of what he can be. Once he's ready to go, he's back in the net for me.
Well, so that's the defensive side, and now offensively, the Canadiens have stepped it up over the last couple games. And to me, when I'm watching them, I look at Brendan Gallagher, 5 points in his last 5 games, a couple 2-goal performance the other night. How important is he to get this ship righted in the right direction for the offense? Like get the offense going back in the right direction.
Gallagher's the guy that the Canadiens look to as sort of a measuring stick. When Gallagher always competes, he goes to the net hard. He fights for pucks in the corner. You'll never see Brendan Gallagher take a shift off. So when he's going and the team is going around him, things are really, really great. And I think he sort of left that role of secondary scorer, and I think he's now a primary scorer on this team. You think back to a few years ago when him and Brad Marchand were neck and neck with each other. Marchand starts to head in a better direction, and then Gallagher suffers 2 hand injuries. We thought that was going to hinder his ability to shoot the puck, and it looked like it did for a while. And you've got Brad Marchand scoring 40 goals, and I don't think that Brendan Gallagher can get back there. I think right now he's on about a 30-goal pace, which would be incredible for him at his cap hit. To score 30 goals for his confidence going forward. But he's really been a nice bright spot for the Canadiens offensively, especially when you consider that he's playing with Thomas Plekanec, who has really struggled this year and last year after signing that 2-year, $6 million extension. He struggled last year, and I think playing with guys like Gallagher and Charles Hudon has been another really nice bright spot for the Canadiens. Has really solidified his role as a guy who doesn't need to do everything by himself anymore. But like you said, Brendan Gallagher has become a part on this team that Montreal really, really needs going forward.
All right, let's go and talk a few prospects. One is you got now playing there as Nikita Scherbak. I think he was first round pick, 26th overall in 2014. So now he's in the roster, right? Where is he in the lineup right now? And what type of player is he? And do you see him playing in a different role 2-3 years in the future?
So he came up and played a few games. He's unfortunately got, I believe, a leg injury, a knee injury, if I'm not mistaken. The few games he had played, he was on a line with Michael McCarron and Alex Galchenyuk when he was in the lower portion of the lineup. I really like what I've seen from Nikita Scherbak. He's had a hard time staying healthy. He's going to be a guy in the future where if he pans out to what Montreal thought he was going to be when they picked him, he's a guy that could play in your top six, is a power play specialist. He's got a good shot. He's got really nice hands. The one thing that has dogged him when he's not injured is his compete level on both sides of the puck. And that's always a problem for young offensive players who don't get picked really, really early in the draft. The typical knock is that they can't play on their own side of the puck. I mean, you look at Alex Galchenyuk, that's been what's haunted him his entire tenure in Montreal, is he can't play center because he can't play defensively. He can't win faceoffs. He can't. Moving forward, I think Scherbak is an interesting prospect, but he, like most young guys, he needs to work on both sides of the puck. Mm-hmm. Could be a very nice piece moving forward when the Canadiens need more depth scoring going into the bowels of the season.
All right, and then a quick update. What is going on with that foot injury with Noah Juulsen?
Yeah, Noah Juulsen's an interesting guy. I think if he had stayed healthy, he probably might have gotten a call-up at this point just because of how bad Montreal's defense has been.
Yeah.
But I think with his knee, I believe he fractured his foot. He was out 6 weeks. We're at the end of that timetable. And at some point, he had suffered a setback. We don't really know what it is. They think he'll start skating soon with the Laval Rocket, but we're not really certain yet as to where he's at. He'll be a huge addition when he does come back to either Laval or Montreal. He's, obviously Victor Mete made the team this year and he's looked good, but Juulsen's the better all-around defenseman, a larger guy, really great on both sides of the puck, can still quarterback a power play if you need him to. But, obviously he needs to heal up before he can have any sort of impact, either in the AHL or the NHL.
All right, Ian. Thanks for coming on the show. It was great listening to the updates with the Habs and everything. And, of course, we're going to tweet and post on our website, rabidhabs.com. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me.
All right, here's a new segment we haven't done yet this season. The hot seat. Who's on the hot seat? Who could be on the way out? A player, a manager, a coach? Let's get right into that. Montreal.
Yeah, well, we just had Ian on the show, and there's still, yes, Montreal's turned it around the last couple of games, but there's still a lot going on there. And I think it falls on Captain Max Pacioretty. Now, I think he's on the hot seat. Now, do I think that he'll necessarily get stripped of his captaincy? No. Do I think it's a valid option? Yeah, I do. You got Shea Weber's playing some of the best hockey he's played as of right now. He's putting numbers up on the power play. He's right up there leading this team in points. I think he's second on the team in points. And there is really almost no production from Pacioretty. And as his time span as a captain hasn't been long, in fairness, but he hasn't really taken charge and led this team, I feel, the way Montreal fans have wanted him to, and the way that we as broadcasters and people that watch the game and try to dig into the game, that I actually think he could do more, especially with the type of player he is. He's a goal scorer, he's gritty, he's big, and I really feel like he's taken a step back from his grittiness since he's gotten the C. So maybe just take the C off, take a load off, take a step back, and let Montreal develop a new leader and see who really comes forward in the spotlight. I think it worked decently well in San Jose when they stripped Jumbo Joe, or they stripped Marleau, then Joe, now Pavelski. Obviously, they didn't get the cup, but there are a couple strips over there, but they got close. So I think it's For the on the ice, I don't think it's so much Claude Julien as it is they need some leadership.
Yeah. We've already talked about it in earlier episodes with Galchenyuk. Right now, he's not on the hot seat. I think, again, if they keep on demoting him and everything,
He could be.
he's very much still on the hot seat. And then we talked about Julien, but we can't put it on Julien. He is working with the best he can with what he has. So it all goes up to Mr. Marc Bergevin.
Yeah.
How many moves has he made in the last few years that have put pie in his face? PK Subban, Shea Weber trade. Drouin for Sergachev, and how well Sergachev is already playing in his rookie season as a defenseman in today's NHL.
And then, to be honest, Drouin hasn't really...
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I'm sitting here scratching my beard as you're talking about this because it's tough to listen to.
Okay, why? I thought this was bad. Why resign Plekanec and give him that much money when a guy who's already his offense has disappeared from his hands?
And I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's been over 45% in the faceoff dot for about 2 seasons. So it's not like he's out there. Oh, he's our ace.
Yeah.
When your ace is losing more than 50%, now I understand the league average is about 48.
Yeah.
But still, when you have an ace, I want a guy like Bergeron or Crosby that is up around 60%.
Yeah.
So I don't see why Plekanec is still a Canadian.
Yeah. Just letting easily go Andrei Markov and making it look like it's all on him, that it was his fault. They could have easily signed him for even cheaper than they had him before, and it would have helped shore up that defense.
What's even better is Markov goes over to the K, gets named captain, first game, that highlight, just skates right down the boards, clap bomb, top shelf. Good stuff, Andrei Markov. I just remembered that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then, of course, on top of those moves, some other ones which we can keep on listing, you go and give Carey Price a huge cap hit of the contract and duration, and he has not looked himself.
I mean, I don't.
Begin the season.
I don't. Yeah, that's true, but I can't blame Marc Bergevin for that. I mean, Carey Price is, in my opinion, Carey Price is the best goalie in the world. No, he hasn't played like the best goalie in the world this season, but the Montreal Canadiens haven't played they haven't played decent hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Let's over the last couple weeks they've played some solid hockey, but pardon me, who's the guy? Lindgren comes in, and he's the one stealing the show. Yes, Montreal's played better in front of him, and I think they know mentally it's like, okay, we got a rookie goaltender in, let's step up our game.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him for the Carey Price signing, but maybe
So I'm putting it all on Bergevin, and if they take another bad turn, which is very possible, but if it goes the stretch, in my mind, he's got to be the number one guy to go. It'll help maybe by doing the captaincy thing.
I think it's on the ice.
Yeah.
On the ice, they need some leadership. Off the ice, they need a sense of direction. So I think that we've nailed the two problems in Montreal on the head with that one.
Yeah.
But another Canadian team, couple guys that we could see more of, or more from. Pardon me, Darnell Nurse in Edmonton and Ryan Strome.
Yeah.
Obviously, Eberle trade. They wanted something a little more, not as flashy, something a little more secure to lock down a depth center role or a solid winger, and Strome just has not produced in either sense.
Well, yeah, they know that maybe with the signing of Draisaitl and McDavid, and they need a bit of a cheaper cap hit, and maybe a guy who can even play better in the future, and getting Ryan Strome. And I think that was the move, that they're thinking, he could maybe be as good or even better than Eberle on a cheaper deal.
Yeah.
And
well, he had 50 points in his sophomore campaign.
Yeah.
He's shown that he has the offensive presence, but 5 points in his first 15 games. He's a -4 right now. Didn't have a great season last year. I think Shirley was maybe, he can turn it around a little cheaper, but he's not much cheaper than Eberle. Strome's right around a $4 million cap hit, I'm pretty sure. So for me, I think Ryan Strome's just either got to step up, or I think it's time for Edmonton to bury the Strome experiment.
And do you think they're going to move him?
I don't. Can you?
So quickly to get him and then trade him again? It's very rare, to say the least, to do something like that.
So he's $3 million cap hit.
Yeah.
So it's a million. Yeah, it's a couple million cheaper, which is nice. But still, if I'm paying a guy $3 million a year, I'd like a few more points than just 5 and 15. I feel like
exactly.
Or just have him noticed on the ice.
Yeah,
he hasn't been present.
Yeah, you need him to play something specific in his game to see improvement, to see something that he can do that's different from others, at least something like that, to see a spark in him, and you haven't seen anything like that. And then there's Darnell Nurse. Again, a high-rated prospect coming in, and it's been a few seasons now, so you want to see progression. And he took a decent jump up last year.
For sure.
And now this year hasn't looked the same.
No, we were talking about him earlier before the show, and it's just, he's looked flat-footed. There's been situations where he could have cleared Cam Talbot's crease. Pardon me, that was a bit of a tongue twister. Say that one 3 times fast. Cam Talbot's crease.
Cam Talbot.
Anyway,
all right.
Yeah, it was tough. Anyway. There's been a couple of situations where he's just given up the puck, or he's just not. It's almost like he's not focused or paying attention. He's looking at the wrong man. He's not blocking out the angles with his stick with that long reach like he could, getting his stick in the passing lanes, especially inside those hash marks. That's where shooters are going to shoot in the slot. Yeah. And if you can just, as a defenseman, get your stick in. I'm not saying get your stick as he's shooting, so you deflect the puck and make it more difficult for the goaltender. Yeah. But get your stick into the passing lanes, or onto his stick, so he, A, doesn't get the pass, or B, can't receive the pass. Yeah. And as you said, he's got no goals this season. He got 5 goals in just 40 games last year. So he really has potential to be one of those defenders to get in that 10-plus club. One of that's kind of like the mark, I think, in the modern NHL for an elite defenseman. Yeah. Try to get 10, elite offensive. And he's shown potential to do that. But this season, there's something wrong in Edmonton. Oscar Klefbom's playing off. Greiba's not playing great. Chris Russell looks like he's slowed down. But I think when you're that high of draft pick, when you're the 7th overall pick, and after the line of forwards that they picked, first overall picks, there's a lot of pressure on you. Yeah. But he's got to step up and live up to that, because that's when they drafted him. They're like, okay, we can put that pressure on this kind of player. Yeah, I think when we talked about earlier with Kiprio's tweet and everything, both Marner in Toronto and Nurse for the Oil haven't played their game that they did just last season. So that's why both of them are probably on the hot seat, and especially Nurse has to get back his game, or else less ice time. Who else do you think is feeling a little warm on their cushion right now? I think for sure it's in Chicago, and it's Patrick Sharp. We already know some people like Duncan Keith might not like him for other reasons. But last 10 games, 0 points, -7. And yeah, they've taken him down a notch in ice time. He's only getting about 12 or 14 minutes a game now. Rightfully so. But he started off so well. Yeah, but yes, he started off so well, 2 points in the first game, but they also potted 10 goals in that game against Pittsburgh. So yeah. When 4 points in the first 5 games? Yeah, 2 goals, 2 assists for the first 5 games, and nothing since. Yeah, so I think the problem is with the Sharp situation is that they brought him back. They signed him. They brought him back. What are you gonna do with him? Yeah, is he still the same locker room presence that he was in 2010? Probably not. He definitely isn't the same scorer. We've seen that. So I think Patrick Sharp is an interesting situation where Chicago almost has to stick with them. Yeah. But you just have to hope that he turns it around, because if he does, it's a waste. And then that could be not just hot seat, that could be career done. That could be it. Yeah. So he's got to figure out his game for himself. Or, he's done maybe in the NHL. Yeah, well, in the pipes, at least, you know me, I love former goaltender, I love talking about goaltenders. A couple goalies that I see on the hot seat, Florida Panthers, both of them. James Reimer and Roberto Luongo, but for 2 different reasons. I don't think it's fair to expect starting numbers from James Reimer. I think it's been proved that he is at best, 1A, 1B situational goaltender in that 1B role, or a legitimate elite backup goaltender. Yeah. And you can't ask him to play, let's say, split right down the middle, 41 starts, 20 starts, he'll give you a good 9-20, 9-10 save percentage. 40 starts, though, against teams in the East that are just getting better, and Florida just seems to be sinking.
Yeah, I think...
Sorry, pardon me. And then Roberto Luongo, just simply too old.
Yeah, exactly. It's maybe time for Luongo to retire and Reimer to be a good backup. I think, and that's what they're missing. They're missing a good starting goalie to help this young team. But again, I think it all started with Gerard Gallant. When they made the move to fire him, and the team was already moving in a good direction, and yeah, they were maybe faltering a little bit then, that was a horrible move to fire him. And look what Gallant has done in Vegas.
Yeah.
That's insane, the way the team is playing so hard for him and so well structured. And that's kind of the way Florida was playing.
And not only that, it's what I like about Vegas and what I liked about when he had his time in Florida, that those teams, Vegas now and Florida 2 years ago or last season even, they took advantage of their opportunities.
Yeah.
Aaron Ekblad played phenomenally, took advantage of opportunities. The players took advantage of opportunities underneath the coaching staff and underneath the management. So that's a big part of what is just missing in Florida right now.
Yeah.
Because Barkov, yes, he's doing all right, but you need more. Huberdeau, you need more. But Huberdeau's been injury plagued his whole career.
And it's hard to blame Dale Talon when I think that was the whole issue with the whole management. They didn't know what they were doing. They had Tom Rowe. They brought him in, and
then Talon's back into the mix now.
So I think it starts a little bit up there too.
Yeah,
in terms of they got to clean that up. And it's good. I think it's much better.
So let's just say it. Let's just, all the nonsense aside, Florida, you're on the hot seat as a team. Although I just have to say this. Jablam listeners, followers, watchers, viewers, whatever you want me to call you, you know how hard I've been on Mr. Joe Sakic the last couple of weeks. I think that he was breaking up Colorado. Their numbers were going down. They weren't winning any games. Duchesne was pissed off. He had every right to be. They got a deal. And not only that, they got a first, a second, and a third-round pick, a couple of players, and Duchesne, a fresh start. So you know what, Joe Sakic? You held out for a little too long, but you got the right deal at the end of the day. So my hat is tipped off to you, sir. Congratulations on just getting off the hot seat in my books. Not that it means much to you, but good move.
Wow, a king's ransom, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's crazy, just for Matt Duchesne?
A guy that, Duchesne's, we've talked about this many times in the last couple of weeks. Duchesne's a great quality player. He's an Olympian, gold medalist, but on the NHL level, he hasn't quite hit the elite, yes, but all-star plateau that he can.
Yeah, I think he was very good a few years ago, but the last 2 years, he hasn't been that almost point-per-game type player.
Well, we'll see. Maybe a change of scenery can do it.
Yeah.
But, hey, Joe Sakic, hats off to you, buddy.
Off the hot seat for Mr. Sakic. All right, time for my least favorite national jerseys. Of course, Nike Unleashed.
Unleashed. I like that. This is so bad that you could actually say they unleashed this on the public eye.
Yeah, exactly. So if you take a look at them, of course they're going to be on JablamHockey.com on the game notes for this episode. We have an image for all the national jerseys. I think we also had some tweets, so I'll check that out in a second and give you that. But there's some nasty ones.
And then there's some
not so nasty ones.
And that nasty is actually nasty that's been in the fridge for too long.
Yeah.
Nasty, not nasty good.
All right, so one of my least favorites from the new collection is got to be Slovenia. I don't like
they look
colors.
Like the Seattle Seahawks. That is the Seattle Seahawks jersey.
You know what? I don't mind the Seahawks too much. Maybe it's a little too bright. I think it would be cool. Maybe if it was glow in the dark. But these ones, I don't know. I don't like the V thing at the bottom, the stars. I don't know. Nothing kind of flows well for me.
The sleeves look like those glasses the kids wear to raves these days. Those refraction glasses that spin. Yeah, that's what it looks like. When you look down that tube thing and spin it, that's what those sleeves look. It's bad.
Exactly. Which one do you not like?
My least favorite is actually not because I don't like Americans or anything, but Team USA. We talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show. Those arms, I can't get over the peacock sleeved arms.
Yeah.
On all, there's not just their alternate jersey has it too. The lighter blue has it too, and it's man, the American jerseys really grind me down. I can't stand them.
Okay, so for the polls on JablamHockey.com.
Well, I just have to say one more thing. Another jersey, the hosts Korea. Oh, those are bad.
Okay, again,
It looks like somebody took the jersey and
ripped it or stretched it.
It looks like it was right here, and you and I, and there was like a hot dog in the middle of it, and we were just going for it. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so anyways, on the polls, least favorite by a landslide is Team USA. 73% of the votes.
The Peacocks.
And then Canada got 18%, and Slovenia was at 9%. In terms of that, but most favorite of those ones, 2018 PyongChang sweaters. Sweden won with 40% of the vote, but Russia and Finland not too far behind with 30. What was your most favorite that you've liked?
Well, I think Sweden winning makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It looks like the most original design with just the 3 crowns, but. Wow, Norway. Yes, I have Norwegian heritage. If you couldn't tell by my Thor-like beard and hair, obviously not the size. Gotta hit the gym. But check out these jerseys. It says Norge across them on a nice diagonal font. It's a mean-looking font, and then there's a full-blown Viking ship right in the gut. I think say there's a Viking ship on an Olympic jersey. That's all I need. Those things are amazing. I'm buying one.
Yeah, well, I have not yet bought any national jerseys. I'm not a fan of any of them. Check out my blog. It's on JablamHockey.com. My least and my most favorite ones of all time for all the main top 6 countries, USA, Canada, Sweden, Finland, Russia, and the Czech Republic. It'll be on there. But for these new ones, I'm still liking the classic Sweden and Russia. They just went with the classic Sweden one, Tre Kroners, the 3 crowns, clean, and the Russian one with the 2 eagles.
Yeah, the Russian it's just classic. The all red. It kind of looks like pajamas, but they have the all red with the 2-tone red, so it looks sharp.
Because with all the other ones, they have the crazy sleeves. Yeah. But with the Sweden and the Russia, I don't know if the government had influence on these, but they were like, no, you're not doing that to our sleeves. Yeah. We're keeping, and so they just went with a 2-tone crazy part on the sleeve, so you can't really notice. I gotta be honest
though, the people, Jablam, I love all of you so much. Thank you so much for the support. But the people, whoever voted for Finland, what were you thinking? Dude, that's so ugly.
I will say this, and I put it in my blog post. I'm not a fan of the Czech Republic and Finland with their crest from their traditional logos that they've had in their coat of arms for some of the countries. Yeah. But this one, I actually like that the logo's a little more simpler. It's not as crazy as the other ones that they've had, and that's why I kind of like the logo on this. Still don't like the sleeves, though, for sure. The sleeves, PyongChang, please, I don't know what you did there.
Let's just cut the sleeves off. Basketball jerseys. Welcome back to Jablam Hockey. Now, we got some fantasy up and down. Probably my favorite thing about hockey season is beating the crap out of my colleagues like Peter here at Fantasy Hockey. And here's why. Wait. Because I'm the fantasy genius.
Yeah. So how are you doing so far in the league?
I think I'm in second.
And I'm in, what, third?
Yeah, well, you know what? Different divisions, though. See, there's a division. I'm in fourth, but I'm in second in overall points.
No, you're in the same division, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think it's you, me, and whoever's on top of us.
Yeah, there's a guy that's 2
points ahead of all 3 of us are destroying the league, but we're in the same division. Yeah, so it's kind of like...
Playoffs are going to be interesting this year. For sure. But if you have some guys, I'm going to tell you who you should drop and who you should add if you need a little extra boost. I go down every position. I give you your best option to drop, best option to pick up. Make sure you check that out on Jablam.com. Pardon me.
Jablam.com?
JablamHockey.com. I just love saying Jablam. It's just so much fun. But here we go. Jason Spezza, get that guy off your roster. He's on the wrong side of 30. He's 53% owned, and I don't understand why 53% of Yahoo Fantasy Hockey players still own him. He has just 3 assists in 12 games this season. He's averaging just around 12 minutes a night and isn't seeing actually is seeing very limited power play time.
Mm-hmm.
He is still seeing some power play time, but there really is no plus side to have a guy like Jason Spezza, especially if there's a centerman named Ryan Nugent-Hopkins who is available. Nugent-Hopkins has, over his last 5 games, he has 8 points. He's really turning things around in Edmonton. He's part of the reason why their scoring's gone up as of late. Obviously, it's been McDavid and Draisaitl in the overtime, but Nugent-Hopkins down the middle is a solid ad. He's only owned in 22% of leagues, so get on that and get on that now. And here's my top pickup. This is shocking to me because I try to do for my ad roster, find guys below 50%, give you a little diamond in the rough. Brendan Gallagher is right at 50%, and that is shocking. This guy, he hits fantasy points, PIMs, fantasy points, scores goals, fantasy points, grinds it out in the corners and gets the assist, fantasy points. He's got 7 goals in 12 games. He's 5 for 5 in his last 5 games. He's producing. Pick him up, get him on your roster, because if things turn around in Montreal, Ian said it on the show earlier, he is their offensive, he's their number 1 guy. That's who they're looking to. So if he's available, which he is in 50% of leagues, pick him up.
And he's a grinder, so also beauty points.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Gallagher, but on the ice, you got to respect his play. Him and Marchand are just 2 of those guys where it's like, I can't like you, but goddamn, can I respect your play?
I love those guys. Yeah. All right, before we go, what do we have next week? We'll be team ISOing the Winnipeg Jets with guest Art Middleton from JetsNation.ca, and we'll give again some update with Leafs talk. That's it for this week's folks. Again, remember, hashtag Jablam, hashtag JHockey, hashtag JablamHockey, and check us out on JablamHockey.com.
And make sure you check out our blogs. I'm just adding this in real quick. Peter's blog is absolutely fantastic on the jerseys, fun read, and my fantasy blog. It's a good fun read, so make sure you check it out. Thanks for joining us.